What is up, everybody? It's another episode of Guardians of the Future. You know me, I'm Justin Latta. Maybe you don't, maybe you're new here. We've talked about the Lynchburg Hillcats, the Lake County Captains, the Akron Rubber Ducks season, and I'm a little biased, but we saved the best for last. Today, we're going to talk about the Columbus Clippers season that kind of went off the rails in Columbus, just like this podcast might go off the rails.
Oh, yeah. That's
happening. If you're watching on YouTube, the guy to my right doesn't really need an introduction. If you've been to Columbus, you probably know who he is. If you're listening, you're going to recognize his voice very quickly too. It is our buddy, Big Matt Leininger from the Columbus Clippers, the voice of Huntington Park. Very special friend who was nice enough to take some time on his vacation to join us to talk about the Clippers, and God knows what else might happen today. So just be warned, this could get crazy.
Good evening, podcast people. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually talk like that. That would be really weird. Not that there's anything wrong with having a regular announcer voice at all times. I need an inside voice. Hi, everybody. Hi, Justin.
Hi, Matt.
This is going off the rails.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you watching in video land, you can see where you recognize these two handsome gents right here, right above my head. This is not specifically for the podcast. This is just actually how it is. Yeah, I got to minister these crazy kids' wedding. Was that this year? Yeah, that was this year, huh?
That was this summer. It was four months ago yesterday, actually.
Oh, happy 4-month anniversary. Yay.
And we're still together. Before the podcast, you saw my wife on camera before we started, can prove that she's still with me, and
that's good.
Hasn't gotten sick of me after 4 months. That's good.
That's good. I actually have a pretty good percentage rate right now. I think we lost two couples split during the pandemic, during the shutdown. Yeah, apparently
that's not your fault.
They couldn't handle that. So I'm not putting the blame on myself for that. So if we remove those two couples, I'm like 26 for 26. So everybody else is still together. You guys are still together. And if you ever decide to split, I'm going to bring a baseball bat over to visit you. No, I'm just kidding. I would not do that. I'm just kidding.
No, we made it up onto the wall behind you. And Matt was nice enough to drive from Columbus this year to get to marry me and my wife, and we found a spot on your wall. We're not leaving it.
Nope, you're stuck there until I leave this tiny little apartment that I call home.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, Matt's got quite the collection. We could probably get into a whole bunch of conversation around that. He's got bobbleheads and pictures back there.
Oh, I'm a maximalist on a minimalist budget. So. What's funny is
I've done a lot of shit. You've seen a lot of shit, so you got a lot of shit.
I've done a lot of cool things. I'll be completely honest, and that's by no means is that me trying to toot my own horn or anything. I've been very, very blessed to have a lot of opportunities, come my way, and I'm not saying
that you earned.
That was the next route that I was going to go. A lot of things weren't necessarily handed to me. I worked my butt off to do whatever has been presented to me. But, I'm one of the very privileged that has been able to both play in front of 100,000 people and then be an MC and be an in-game host in front of 100,000 people. And that's just one of the things that can't be really taken away from me, and like Huntington Park, I just finished up year 13 being the PA announcer for the Clippers, and it's crazy. Next year, I think it's next year, I'll come to 1,000 games announced, which is just mind-blowing because PA announcing wasn't necessarily a route that I had, on a dream goal list or anything like that. I was going to be a radio guy, and eventually this opportunity presented itself. It's supposed to be a one-time thing. I won a contest through my broadcasting school, and from there it was like, hey, you're not bad at this. You want to try to do this a little bit more? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? And 13 years later, here we are. They can't. Sorry, Clippers fans. You're kind of stuck with me for at least for now. You have been for over a decade, and hopefully we can get another decade in.
Let's say the Clippers game's the on-field's the secondary draw. Your voice is the number one draw, especially in years like this year. Especially the way things went in Columbus this year.
It wasn't it wasn't a season across any of our levels that we had really hoped for, but that's going to happen. You know, you're not going to pop champagne every single year. Some years you got to build, and I feel like we had so much movement over all levels this year. We weren't necessarily going to have, in my opinion. Now, let me come back to that, and I'm going to give you gave your little warning before we started about how this might go off the rails. I'm going to give my little warning in the sense that I am an announcer. I have nothing to do with anything in the front office or player movement or anything like that.
That's simply not true. That is simply not true.
And it is 100% true. And everything that I'm saying is purely my opinion. And there's a reason I'm not a scout in the MLB. So you take all my opinions and anything that you hear come out of my mouth today with a grain of salt, because it's an announcer's opinion. You know, it's the guy who runs the team's website's opinion. Like, his opinion doesn't mean anything. So this is purely just us having fun, and by no means is this going to be like going and tweeting at the Guardians, being like, "Oh, your Clippers announcer said this," and blah blah blah. And nobody cares that much. I'm nobody. Nobody cares that much. We're just having a little bit of fun. Two very sturdy, husky gentlemen talking baseball in October. All right, that's my.
That doesn't involve Cleveland. Yeah, I mean, nobody takes me seriously here, so it's just fine. And you've seen more minor league baseball than I have. Truthfully, you just said it's going to be 1,000 games next year in 13 years, so you've seen a hell of a lot more than I have. So nobody takes me as seriously, so they'll take you. They'll take you a little more seriously.
I'd take you seriously. I always have. We've. Gosh, we're going on 7-8 years of being buddies now. You know, kind of really only connected through me running the Clipper social media, and I ran our social media for solo for the better part of 6 years, and then for the following 2 years, I had a serious hand in it while training other people to take over the position, and then this year I was finally able to completely step away from it. A little later than we had originally planned, but also that was some of my doing, and wanted to make sure that the person that took it over was ready. And my biggest fear was always, for me, posting something that made it sound like I had no idea what I was talking about. Like, oh, this guy doesn't know baseball. Why is he running a baseball team social media? Blah 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 blah. And I was very, very conscious of that, and always worried about something like that happening. And so it just turned into, me kind of holding on to it a little bit longer, just to kind of protect what I thought needed protecting and what I built. And in the end, we're on our third person that stepped into over the last 2 years to take in and really kind of to get a grasp of it. And I love where we're at right now, and couldn't be happier to just be an advisor and just giving advice where it's needed, and putting all my focus into the website. So that our website, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but our website finished in the top 5 in overall views in all of minor league baseball, I believe. And so that makes me feel good, because going into next year, knowing that I don't have anything else to worry about but that, makes it so that I can put all of my focus and all of my time in the off season into making that as good of a site as we could possibly have, and rolling from there. We can kind of hopefully that can help us sell more tickets, help us get more unique visits and stuff. And
because half of those visits for me. I was checking stats of the schedule.
Appreciate you. There's so many different things and so many different avenues that you can go when it comes to a team website, and not having the social on top of it, and then also this being the first off season that I've actually had an off season in over a decade, with stepping away from doing Ohio State stuff, I actually can put my full focus into, you know, not having to worry about anything else but getting ready for the 2024 season. And it's October, yeah, and I'm on a 2-week vacation, just to kind of unplug and unwind from what is a long, it's a long season, and it can be draining, especially those 2-week long homestands when you got 13 or 12 games in 13 days. Like, that weighs on you. That is stressful, especially, goodness, I'm trying to think what our average attendance would be, but I can't do that off the top of my head. Clippers finished in all of minor league baseball second in attendance and second in per game attendance, behind Lehigh Valley. Took home the top spot in both of those, and that was with losing 5 home games. We had 5 postponements, so very proud of that. Very proud to, when when you think of Columbus, Ohio, baseball isn't exactly one of the first few things that's going to pop into your mind, but Huntington Park, I believe this was our 15th year open, and we keep doing little things to try to keep a shine on it. And whether it's expanding the video board or, just little things that you can do to make it not feel bland, make it not feel like, oh, dude, we've already been here, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, like, we want you to have a different experience every time you come, a great experience each time. But showing those numbers on tickets shows that, yes, we are still doing something right, while also having a full understanding that we can always get better, and that's what we should be striving to become. Like, I love our in-game show. I think we have one of the best, in-game when it comes to, when it comes to PA vocal, music, and scoreboard on top with on-field entertainment and stuff, or on-field games and everything. That overall show, I think we have one of the best, but I also think we could be better. And that's one of the things that I personally take pride in, is I can be content, but I'm never comfortable, if that makes sense. Or maybe I should flip that. I can be comfortable, but never content. Never satisfied. Let's go with that. Never satisfied. No, because I am satisfied with what we got. Basically, I always want to get better. Like, I want people that, because when you think minor league baseball, people aren't necessarily coming to watch baseball. Yeah, that's part of it, right. But we get big crowds for 10-cent hot dogs, and we get big crowds on nights we're going to have fireworks. So yeah, there are other things that are included in the baseball, and we personally, as front office people, no control over what happens on the field. We have no control over what players are putting on the jersey and being trotted out there every single day. But what we can do is try to make a wonderful experience for everybody involved that comes through those gates. And that's the goal. That's always the goal. There's no games off for me on the microphone, because I know that whether it's going to be 6,000 people or 12,000 people coming through those gates, each one of those people paid their hard-earned money to come to this game, and why not give them the best possible experience that they can, whether it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It doesn't really matter. I want people to enjoy, like, oh man, even if they're like, oh man, Clippers lost like 10-2, dude, I had so much fun. Like, they had $5 beers, this, that, and the other, and there's a live band before the game, and all these different things I want incorporated in to just make us have the best possible show that we can for the fans. And the fan experience, to me, along with the overall Clippers brand, are the two most important things for me, and what I really focus, or try to focus, what I every little thing that I have a hand in, I want to be the best possible. And I know that's not special or anything. Most people should want that, but I care mostly about the fans. The fans are the top priority to me, and I want to make sure that everybody's having a good time. So that's what we try to do with our shows. And our shows are, I think they're fantastic.
I've been there, so I can confirm that you are right. It is up there in terms of minor league baseball, if not the best. Probably the best I've ever seen in person. I've only been to, I've been to every Guardians affiliate except for Lynchburg now, and I haven't been to Arizona. I don't know if I can even count that as an affiliate at this point, but I've been to some other minor league ballparks in different cities, and yeah, Columbus has to be number one. So when Matt says that, he is definitely not lying, and you should get to a show because it really is the Clip Show. That's exactly what it is. That's the Clip Show.
Welcome to the Clip Show.
Do you want to talk about some players?
Yeah, we let's talk some. Let's do what we're actually supposed to be here to do. How about that? Let's give that a go.
Well, we're here to talk about baseball in general. You just talked about the experience. Well, you talked about the experience of minor league baseball, which is definitely also what we're here for, because, like you said, you don't control who's on the field, but it's fun to go nonetheless. Let's see whose name did you yell the most this year? Because I'm gonna guess it's probably Jhonkensy Noel, right? Like that's the guy whose name you probably yelled the most. That's probably the one people want to hear about, and I think Jhonkensy Noel's a fun. He's a fun because he's a big dude and he hits a lot of home runs, and obviously Cleveland needs home runs. But I do have some doubts. I'm just going to be honest. I do have some. I know people don't really love my opinions on Jhonkensy Noel personally, so maybe you have a more
I'm just going to tell you,
positive
shut up right now. Nobody says anything bad about Jhonkensy Noel. Sorry, I couldn't help that one.
I knew we were going to go there. I knew.
So here, a little side story on what made me fall in love with Jhonkensy Noel as a player. So beyond that, his name is just fun to say. Like, it's just fun to say. He's got this bursting smile, like just this big smile. And when you see it, you realize, like, he is just a kid. He started the season at 21, like he's 22 years old. He is a brick house, and he is, the dude is built to, he's built to be a tight end in the NFL right now. So with that, I say, like, be patient. In my opinion, I would hope, let me rephrase that because that sounds bad. I don't hope anybody starts in the minor leagues, but my opinion is I think he needs a little more AAA seasoning, but he's not a bad guy to get thrown into a corner outfield spot. He does not play a bad third base. He just started playing a little bit of first base. So he's going to have that little bit of utilityness to him. He's got a solid arm. Excuse me. And he can hit 450-foot home runs. Now, he's a big dude. Bat looks like a twig in his hands. And so he does strike out a good amount. But that's also a reason that I think he just needs a little bit more time before trying to hit that big league level. But he's a joy. And you could see, gosh, 510 fan accounts spawned for him this year, and like Jhonkensy's smile and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of those came I don't mean to toot my own horn because I don't feel that I was that good at doing social media, but
sure.
I never once, at least into August, I never posted any highlight of Jhonkensy Noel on Twitter with any type of description, anything at all besides all caps Jhonkensy Noel. And the amount of exclamation points I put on it was how big the play was. And so if you go back and search, you will not find me, maybe right in the beginning, maybe in early April. But once he finally, really started to make a bit of an impact with us playing every day, I just went with this caps Jhonkensy Noel because it was fun to announce Jhonkensy Noel. And it just spawned off of that, and then Jonk Bonk and Jonk Donk, like for people responding to his home runs and stuff. But it's not, it's not JHONK BONK, it's BHONK, and like, and DHONK, like just kind of playing off his, and that's the fun of social media. But there was so little of that the longer I was working in it, that it just became something I'm like, yeah, I need out of this. But it's nice that my time working in social for the Clippers really kind of you know ended with the John Kenzie stuff, and that made me just fall in love with him as a player. He's a good kid. Like, he's very respectful. He's very attentive. Like, he's hey, just that little baby girl. And if you can find it on the Clippers TikTok, and I didn't make this video, but he's getting interviewed by one of our on-field hosts, and she asked him about his baby daughter, because he just had a little girl not too long ago. And with the just most purest look on his face, he's just like, she's 10 pounds. It's just the most, it's just it's the dumbest, purest little thing. But she just asked how big she is, and he was like, she's 10 pounds.
Confirmed, so John Kenzie's Noel's kid. He was 10 pounds.
Man. Oh man. And so, like, I already pitched to our new social girl, just being like, you need to use that clip over and over and over. It's like, use it over Halloween. Like, how much candy did you get? 10 pounds. How much weight did you gain after Thanksgiving dinner? 10 pounds. And it's just that's where the fun in social media is, when you can, if you have somebody running your social that doesn't take a lot of the comments personally and stuff, and is able to just have fun in the position of running social media in sports can be a lot of fun. There's not a lot of money in it, but it can be a lot of fun. And it can be a great entry into working for a professional sports organization. But if you are not thick-skinned, it will eat you alive. And believe me, it ate me alive and spat me back out several times over the course of 8 years. And while I can hold on to little things like that, and little things like the assassin and stuff, and a lot of the fun things, and a lot of the people that I got to meet through running the Clipper social media, yourself included, that turned into some lifelong friendships that I hold dearly. But also, it just was not worth the mental stress for me. Like, other people can handle it. I couldn't. I love the organization so much that each time a complaint would come through, I took it personally, and I took it as a dig against me. And that's not how you can't do that. Like, you're not going to be successful. You're going to crash. You may not say anything bad to customers or anything, but you're going to crash. And that's what happened with me several times, actually. So my mental health has improved greatly since being able to step away from that part of my job, and honestly couldn't be happier right now. So but yeah, ending with John Kenzie, that's something fun, and seeing the different fan accounts and the different memes, like, it's just that was a lot of fun to watch. And so I think Jonk is I think he is a project. But I think he's a project that could have great dividends. And so I definitely say, give him some time, let him develop. He's still a kid. He's 22 years old. Like, he's got time. And I'm not even talking about service manipulation or anything like that. I just mean, like, he's got time before you give up on an experiment on a freak physical specimen like John Kenzie Noel. I'm not saying that he doesn't have it all together yet. I'm just saying that when it does click, I say be patient. Be patient. I don't necessarily think that he's a starter on the guards next year by any means, but I do think him playing every single day and getting experience at each corner position, both in the outfield and the infield, he's going to grow into something that could be a very useful tool at the big league level in time.
See, this is why. I mean, your appearance on this podcast was obviously long overdue, but I knew you were the right guy for this because, like I said, and nothing personal. Obviously, it's not personal, but like John Kensington seems like the kind of dude that fans will fall in love with, and they should. Kind of the same way they did with Oscar Gonzalez, hopefully with better results. But I mean, I do have doubts about what will happen with him in the future and hitting big league pitching, but people don't want to hear that. They want to hear someone. Well, you've seen him more than I have, and they also are tired of me hearing talk about that. So I knew you're the perfect guy to have on. I think he's got all of next year to spend in Columbus, truthfully, because I think that's his last option year. And look, the Guardians are starved for home runs, and John Kensington would be an absolute star in Cleveland if everything worked out for him. And like you said, people would fall in love with this guy, and
I think
it'd be a lot of fun.
He has the potential to take off once he gets to Cleveland the way that Oscar originally did. And I think a Stephen Kwan would be another comparable guy to where not much was expected. And then all of a sudden he's an everyday guy. And all of a sudden, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that John's ever going to win a Gold Glove, but I do think that he can be very impactful with his glove and do a lot of damage with his bat if it just has to click. And I'm nowhere near thinking that he should be given up on by any means. Like, I think he could be a great talent at the next level soon. Just not yet, in my opinion, not yet.
I agree. I think it's still going to take some time with him.
More seasoning. He's 22. He just needs a little more seasoning. Give him a little more time to develop.
How many of us were all put together at 22? That's a good point. I know I wasn't.
I'm 39 and I don't have it together, man. I'm not again like this.
I'm doing less than he is. Yeah.
This is just my opinion on a few players, and by no means did I have it together at 22 or 39. So I'm more talking about it just clicking at the plate, and I think that the talent is there and the pure athleticness is there for it to click. You just got to give it a little more time.
You think that George Valera is a little bit closer than John Kenzie? I mean, he was a guy. Look, I've said on this podcast multiple times, George Valera might already be in the majors if he had been healthy for multiple seasons at this point. But every year he continues to miss a lot of games, and it's unfortunate because he's also very talented too. But I feel like Valera is a little bit closer, but I still feel like I need to see him just play 100 games at the minor league level, more than 100 games. I don't know. Like, obviously, unfortunately, our guy, Willie Baseball, we love Willie Baseball on the show, but, he struggled his rookie year. So right field's kind of a question for Cleveland. So I know a lot of fans are going to want George Valera to fill that void because he's been the name people have been talking about forever. And I just hope I can see him play over 100 games. That's kind of where I'm at with George Valera.
It's just, he's got to stay healthy. That's my thing. It's you can hit, you can go out and hit a bunch of home runs, but if you're not there, if you're missing a third to a half of a season every year, but I'm not saying that he is. I'm talking in general. And any player, if you want to be impactful, you have to be able to stay in the lineup for an extended period of time. And I have not personally seen that yet. And I think he got a little bit stuck this year when Oscar was down and we started running a lot of the corner spots being filled between Jonk, Oscar, and Jonathan Rodriguez. And so I think I will say that I don't believe he is a center fielder in the bigs. I don't think that it's quite. I just don't think he is. I just don't think it's there to be a center fielder. Now, plop him into one of those corner spots. There's potential there if he's not leading that outfield. If he's just, if he's the corner guy and not in charge of the whole thing, a quality center fielder with him, I think it could be serviceable on a day-to-day basis. But I don't believe he's a center fielder. He's got amazing pure power, very streaky, and and streakiness can come from injuries. It's that can be injury related on why he just never really got into a groove this year. They could have gotten into a groove, and I just didn't quite notice it because he could have a stretch of where he puts a couple golden sombreros on the board, and then the next game he hits 2 480-foot home runs, and it's like, oh yeah, that's why we got him. So I don't. By no means am I going to sit here. I'm not sold on George Valera. He's still a kid. He's still a prospect. He's still developing. There's so much talent there. There's a lot of the intangibles that you want to see in a big league outfielder in George Valera. And you just hope that he can be healthy and put a long stretch of games with quality at bats off of quality pitching and show that he's ready. You could do that at the big league level and just kind of toss him into the deep end and hope he can swim. But he's another guy. I think he's a little more seasoning, but that's just my personal opinion. The only thing that I can say with confidence is that I don't believe he is a center fielder at the big league level. Doesn't mean he couldn't be an all-star at the corner spots, but I don't think he's a center fielder.
I definitely agree with you there. I think right field is best for him, and I don't even know. Maybe just playing in corner consistently will keep him healthier as well. I don't know. That takes a lot on your body too to play center field, and that's not a guy who really can afford to miss more games than he's already missed in his brief career. Unfortunately,
well, you just look in the second half of the season where he was just kind of he was forced to be carrying that outfield between 3 just hosses,
especially after losing Chris Roller, yeah.
And like those three dudes, Jonk, J-Rod, and Oscar are all 3 of them have really good arms. Did I just cover the wrong side? I definitely did.
Not like you're a professional. I think it's okay.
I normally wear my wireless headset, but I thought that would look weird. Like I just sitting here trying to talk with that thing on. But no, he was not put into the greatest of situations once Roller was gone to have to man that center field spot every single day. And I think that could have worn on a lot of things, that can wear on your, like you said, wear on your health. You can be worrying it too much or be putting too much pressure on where you want to be lining up in the outfield and being the captain of the ship out there. And when it's maybe not your natural spot, maybe not where you feel the most comfortable. I don't know. I'm just saying overall, he, it could be a number of those things. And, in the end, I just don't think he's a center fielder, but I think there is a lot of potential there.
It brings up a good point too, that like this is with any position, not just center field or anything. Defensively, I think you put a guy somewhere and you make him prove that he can't play there, whether it's catcher, shortstop, center field, up the middle. Just put a guy in until he proves he can't. And I don't necessarily know if he did or didn't. I do agree with you. I think he's a corner outfielder in the future, but it doesn't hurt to throw a guy. I mean, I know, like you said, there's other complications that go on, but sometimes you need to throw guys out there just to make sure. And obviously that you're not going to put Jen Kenzano in center, or Jonathan Rodriguez in center, so there was no really better option for
those
that.
Guys, and really towards the end of the season, there really wasn't many for us, at least. There wasn't many other options for the outfield. Now that's a lot of power. If you're looking left to right with Jonk or Oscar was playing a lot of left for us actually, because they were trying to get Jonathan Rodriguez a lot of reps out in right field. I didn't think I would see that. I'm sure you're going to ask me about J-Rod here in a minute, but I'm going to talk about him.
That's
right
where I was
now.
going next.
Carlos Moncrief, best arm I've ever seen in person in the outfield at Huntington Park. A close second was Oscar, and Oscar and Nolan Jones were right there hand in hand of having just amazing outfield arms. Then J-Rod showed up, and I think he's not better than Moncrief, but I think he might have a better arm than both Nolan and Oscar. And for those of you who have seen Oscar just uncork some throws, think that with a little more accuracy. That's what J-Rod brings to the table. I think he's a better defender overall than Oscar. He takes a little bit better routes to the ball, I believe. Is he ready for the bigs? I don't think so, but he's going to be, I think he will be in contention with somebody who should get some consideration if he comes out hot to start the year at AAA next year, is Jonathan Rodriguez. I think there's a lot of untapped talent with him. And you can forgive me because I don't keep up as much as I should when it comes to our prospects. It's not really until they get to Akron that they kind of get on my radar. That being said, I didn't necessarily see him coming. I had heard that he had a really good arm. It was a couple years that he had like the best, or he was named the best outfield arm in the Cleveland's outfield system or something. I thought I had heard that. Don't hold me to that. That's something I heard in passing. But that was pretty much all that I had heard of him. And then he got here, and immediately, like, I was like, oh, I like this kid. And I would like to see more of him. But also, I think he's somebody who might get a shot in spring training to become an everyday guy in Cleveland. Now, he's another guy that's young, but you come out and have a good showing in spring training, you can just take it and run with it. And I think he's a guy who could surprise some people here next year or the following season.
Yeah, I kind of have the same doubts about his game that I do with John Kenzie in terms of just overall ability to avoid the strikeouts and if that's going to translate to major league level. That being said, I think you'd probably agree with this then. He's up for, Rule 5 this offseason, and given the Guardians' situation with power and until they can find a better solution, I'm not saying Jonathan Rodriguez can't be that solution, but until you go out and you search for that solution, I don't think there's any reason to expose a guy like Jonathan Rodriguez to the Rule 5 draft, because this organization can't afford to let guys with his kind of power get away until they know for sure that he's not the answer.
If I'm their front office, which I am not, I've made that clear already, but if I was, he's a guy that I would want to hold on to at least give him a year on the 40 and see what happens. I should have done more research and looked at our current 40 and stuff and seen what we were dealing with, but whether or not there's room on there. But he is a guy that I definitely would not want to let get taken away in that Rule 5 personally.
There should be 3 spots opening at the end of the year, and there could be potentially many as 5, depending on how they decide to non-tender contract wise. And the only name besides Jonathan Rodriguez that really you're not going to lose is you're going to be determined not to lose is Daniel Espino. He's the only guy that's like, okay, you have to add this guy. So there's plenty of room to decide who you think is worth it and who is not. Let's see. Where do we want to go with this? How about Kyle Manzardo? I only saw a couple weeks of Kyle Manzardo, but I feel like that's the guy we talked about guys who need more AAA seasoning. I don't know. Do you think from what you saw, Kyle Manzardo, this guy needs any more AAA seasoning, or is that a guy? He got hot at the end of the year, man.
Yeah, he did. He was hitting a beach ball right those last couple of weeks of the season. At first, such a small sample size of him being with us. At first, I wasn't necessarily sold on him, and then all of a sudden, he found a comfort and just went on a tear. And he seems to be solid on the defensive side. I worry about a 6-foot-tall first baseman, but that's just me. I'm a guy who wants somebody 6'5", 6'6" over there that's going to have, it's going to cover as much ground and be as big of a target as possible. That's just me. Now, I'm by no means saying that shorter first basemen don't work. I think he absolutely will get a look at becoming the Cleveland everyday guy next year. He will get a look, and if he ends up in AAA for a little bit and just goes on a tear the first half, then he gets called up. I don't see if he stays in the organization, I don't see him not being in a Cleveland uniform by the end of next year. I think he's that close. a good off season and a good spring training, he could become a guy. I think he's going to be a guy. Again, small sample size, but liked what I saw. So it's definitely a good start with him.
I was going to ask you about Juan Brito a little bit, but you only saw like a week of Juan Brito. I don't know, but everyone's going to be in pain over that one because you saw that in Nolan Jones too, and that's a hard trade. So hopefully Juan Brito works out. I have a lot of faith in him, although I really did like Nolan Jones.
I love Nolan, but I did look at Nolan as a guy who needed a change of scenery. He got it, and now he's thriving. Some guys just need, and I have no idea how any of this went at all. I just wonder if maybe them wanting him to move to the outfield became something where he kind of lost a little bit of confidence in being in the organization, which I don't know why he would. Again, this is all assumptions. I don't know why he would with Hosey holding down the third base spot at the big league level. But I think I think there was just a little bit of a confidence sink when that first happened, and then he started to find his groove out there and looks a lot more comfortable. But I wonder, again, this is just purely an assumption, I wonder if that had anything to do with kind of being more accepting of, maybe a new place would be good for me. And he seems to, like, I know he started down in Albuquerque, finished up in Colorado. Like, good for him. Like, he's a fantastic athlete. He's a good kid who gets it. Like, he gets it on the aspect of being a good ambassador for the game and talking to kids and taking time out of his personal time to stay longer and sign autographs and take pics with kids and stuff. And like, he's a guy who, him and Arias were best friends down here in Columbus, and one of the reasons that Arias kind of matured as far as just being a person was because of Nolan. And Arias went from being one year where he had moments where he acted like a little punk kid. I'm not saying he was a punk kid by any means, but you could see the immaturity in him every now and then, which you're going to see a lot with. We're dealing with kids, man, and you're going to see that from time to time. And then the next year he came back and he just was a completely different player in my opinion, like mindset and the way that he acted, and you could see it, the way he was interacting with fans and stuff, where it just kind of, it's like it clicked. And I will forever credit Nolan Jones for that, because they were tight, they were besties, and it seemed like Arias kind of lost a little bit of that cockiness when it came to the fans. And everything that I've heard about him up in Cleveland so far since he's been up there every day is that has continued. And so I will credit Nolan with that. I look at him as Nolan as a guy like Yandy that I wish we would have given just a little bit more time to. But I'm not the least bit shocked as thriving in another organization, and I wish nothing but the best too. Like, I want him to succeed. I want all the guys that leave to. I want them to thrive, and that's we're Columbus. We're AAA, man. We're there to help put players in the big leagues, and sometimes guys just, there isn't room in Cleveland. What are you gonna do? You move on and you go have a career like Gio did, or like Sean Armstrong is still pitching in the bigs. Like, you hope that guys,
playoffs, yeah.
Yep. You hope that guys can go on and get elsewhere, and you root for them. Like, it's easy to root for them. It's especially
knowing a guy like Nolan Jones. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. I don't really have any other hitters. Are there any hitters that I haven't brought up yet? I was going to say, you got 8 games of Eric Haas coming back, which I was excited for. I hope he sticks around. We'll see what happens.
I hope he just becomes if he was not to be going back to a big league ball club, I hope he does a little Brandon Barnes action where he stays for 2.5, 3 years and just kind of hangs out with us, if that's possible, and and then becomes a coach. You're basically a player coach. You'll play every 5th day or whatever, or have a specific pitcher that you'll catch or whatever. But No, I hope he sticks around forever. And I know that's unrealistic. And obviously, if he has a big league opportunity, go. But if he's going to be playing in minor league baseball, I hope he sticks with Columbus as long as possible, just because he's just a great dude. Um, and it was great because I went down after they got back, because when we got them back, I'm pretty sure we were on the road. And so when they got back, I went down to the clubhouse after one of the games and just, nah, I looked at it. He's just, Big Matt, what's up? And so anytime a player leaves and then comes back and remembers my name, like that's kind of cool. But and I looked down like, dude, I know you want to be at the big league level, but it's so good to see you, man. Like you're just one of the good dudes in baseball that I've had the privilege of being able to work with and interact with and stuff, and then just get to play a game that they love. And Eric Haas is at the top of that list of my all-time favorite Clippers. And so him coming back really was a treat. It was one of the highlights of the season for me personally. Other hitters worth giving a little attention to, Angel Martinez. He really surprised me at this level, because I hadn't heard too much about him. I heard he had a really good glove, but when he got up here, he transitioned to this pitching, I believe, very well. And I think he's a guy that'll compete for a utility spot next year at the big league level. I think he's got that much talent. We'll see what happens, obviously. But no, he was a guy that impressed me in a short amount of time.
And I'm rooting for Mike Caprice too. Like Eric Haas, good dude, and honorary Buckeye. I know he never made it to Ohio State, but he is an honorary Buckeye and great family, like you said. I'm rooting for Mike Caprice too, because Mike Caprice's story is good. He's a small school kid, baseball royalty in terms of his family. His dad was, scouting ranks and all that stuff, and I'm glad he didn't get hurt too bad. I know he got carted off the field the one game, and he was able to finish the season on the field. He's going to be a guy who, to me, like he had his stretches this year. I feel like he was really hot in Akron last year for like 2 months, and I thought, wow, this guy's really. They invited him to big league spring training last year, which doesn't really happen a whole lot. But he might make his debut. If he makes it when he's a lot older, we'll see where that career goes. But I'm rooting for him just because of the background, and seems like a good kid, and just it's a great story considering where he's come from.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't wear your capris to your wedding. I didn't wear my capris to your wedding either. Anyways, sorry, I couldn't help that one. Also,
my wife is going to listen to the podcast because of you, and she's going to hear that, and this is why you're really on, actually, because my wife doesn't listen to any of my podcasts, but she listened when I had Andre on Locked On Guardian. She listened when I had Zach on. She said, "Okay, I guess I'll listen to this if Matt's on." So she's going to listen to that, and she's going to hear that joke, and she's going to be thrilled to hear it.
Along with that one, announcing Juan Brito. When I put the umph into my announcements and carry out a few syllables, it sounds like I'm ordering one burrito with a whole lot of emphasis. And I haven't quite mastered how to announce his name yet, because it's like I would forcibly put a space between the two names, like Juan Burrito, to try to like not sound like I'm yelling one burrito. And it may not be something that anybody else noticed except for my DJ Nick Wiggett, who is also the PA announcer. He's a PA announcer for the Bengals and FC Cincy and a bunch of different places as well. But he's my game day DJ at Clippers and one of my best friends on this planet. And the first time I announced burrito coming up, he goes, "You sure you don't want 2 burritos?" And I go, damn it. And so it became a running joke, and it's just every single time he came up, Nick's over here like, "Yeah, come on, let's go to Chipotle. What do you want to eat?" Nick, shut up.
So you don't get that other sports.
Well, you don't, like, with us having such a good show and always making sure that we hit all the marks per game, sponsor-wise, that we have to. We're all seasoned pros sitting on that bench. I mean, we've got over 50 years experience of live sports entertainment sitting on that bench alone between 3 people of running scoreboard, PA audio, and PA announcing. And we just have fun, man. Like, and that kind of became a goal this year when it was kind of clear that we weren't going to be competing for a title. We could have some fun games. We're not going to get blown out every day, but we're not really a title contending team. My goal is to leave the press box every game with my face hurting from laughter. And we achieve that almost every single game. And it just improved my mental health so much because I'm so stressed about trying to put on a perfect show. And in reality, like the little things that get screwed up, or we mess up one thing or mess up another thing, the regular fan doesn't notice that unless I just flat out butcher some pronunciation on something or say something completely wrong. Like, they don't notice that. And it's like, oh man, we didn't get that commercial in the middle of the second. That's okay, we can play it at the end of the second. They don't know when that kind of stuff, but still in my head, I've got a perfect show that I see and I want to get that and I want to achieve that. And this year we kind of laxed a little bit in the sense of, okay, we're going to make sure we hit all this stuff, but then we're going to have fun. And we did. We joked around, we laughed, we made sure that everything got done properly, and then we just had fun. And because it's a game and we can do our jobs and do them well and do, like I said, we don't take a game off. Everything that's coming through the microphone on my end is I'm giving it 110% of what I've got. When my fingers off of that button, I'm having fun. And it was such a more fun season, and it went a lot quicker than in years past. And it just, I get to sit next to one of my best friends for 70 plus days a year. Darn.
Who gets to do that at the age of 30, right? Like when you turn 30, all your friends go in different places. You don't get to sit next to them 70 days out of the year.
Well, also, it's funny, like, him and I have been doing the majority of the public address announcing from Central Ohio to Southwestern Ohio for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. And in reality, we should be competitors. Like, we should hate each other because we kind of compete for the same work. But at the same time, it's like, I'm the one that brought him into Columbus. Like, I'm the one that was like, hey, come work with the Clippers. And then from the Clippers, he started working with the Blue Jackets. From the Blue Jackets, he started working with Ohio State. And it's just like, and then he brought me down to Cincinnati. And now I'm working with the Bengals. And I've done some work with FC Cincy. And it's like, it's cool because we should, in hypothetical terms, hate each other. But in reality, like, he'll be standing in my wedding. Like, if I ever get married, he'll be a groomsman. And we throw each other work all the time, and then, like, we get to sit and hang out. We work Bengals games together. Now, he's the PA for the Bengals. I'm just a body in the press box. I don't, like, I do a multitude of different things, but nothing overly important, like being an announcer. But hey, like, he lives in Wilmington, so I'll drive from Columbus to Wilmington and then ride with him down, and it's just like we get to spend the next hour and a half on that drive, and then an hour and a half back, and we just treat it like it's a damn Clippers game, and we just dick around, and it's fun. And for somebody like myself who's extremely introverted and really doesn't like being in groups of people, and I prefer, I'm a homebody now. He's somebody who I can be extroverted around, and he's like you and Grace. Like, I can be extroverted around you guys because I don't know. There's just a comfort level there where I'm not like that around other groups of people. I can be that way on a microphone and, like, in front of 100,000 people. That's nothing. Why? Because there were areas in that stadium that I could go hide in, or I could slip away to, that fans couldn't get. So I never felt overwhelmed, never feel overwhelmed when I'm performing, because there's always a place that I can escape to that regular fans can't go. No, going on a little mental health rant there. But no, we focused more on having fun this year, and I think it really came through in the show, between what I was saying on the mic and what Nick was playing on the speakers and the scoreboard show and everything. And it really became something that I'm proud of. And while the record wasn't what we had hoped for, I think our on-field show success, on top of the fact, finishing in top 2 in attendance, I think we as the Columbus Clippers had a successful year. So that and now we take that and try to get better in 2024.
I agree. And maybe someone should sell a sponsorship because you're going to have Juan Burrito back next year. Someone needs to find a local burrito place and do a sponsorship for Juan Burrito. I think that's the only obvious thing here.
I don't know how Chipotle does not sponsor every single tarp in all of baseball, tarp cover in all of baseball. You little foil cover, like looks like it's wrapped up foil right over top of the tarp on the side of every single field with a Chipotle logo. Like, what?
Should be a tarp sponsor.
I should be.
Well, someone's got to make that happen. That's an idea that will make some money. Let's see. Talk about all the hitters. If we talk about pitching, it might give you some heartburn or might give you some bad memories because that was the bad side of things this year in Columbus was the pitching. That's true. Probably truthfully why the season ended before without a championship because you guys are used to winning in Columbus. I was talking about that in Akron. You guys are used to winning in Columbus, and I feel like the pitching was the big reason. Like you had the big three for a little bit. You had Logan Allen for a week. You had Tanner Bybee for a couple games. You had Gavin for a little bit.
You get like 5 Gavin starts. Sorry, I ran out of water. I need.
That's okay. Yeah, nine Gavin starts. Actually, that was the most of any of them because both
way more than
Bybee
I thought we had them.
Bybee and Allen had 8 combined. So Gavin Williams had 9, one more than both of those guys combined. Like the real bright spot down there was Joey Cantillo, and I feel like he kind of wore down at the end of the year, but that was the first year he has been healthy since he's come to Cleveland. So. That's a good sign. He got to the Fuse, the only guy to go to the Futures game for Cleveland. So, like, him, Cade Smith. Cade Smith, I thought, had a really good season, even if he had some blow-ups.
I'm a fan of Cade Smith, big time. I think he has all the tools to be a contributor in the bullpen for Cleveland next year. I'm definitely on the Cade Smith train. Yeah, it's a minor league reliever. He's going to have some games where it's going to get lit into. Like, it happens as you develop. But no, Cade Smith, I think, is going to be a guy in Cleveland very soon. Not saying he's a Class A level, but he is definitely going to be a middle to setup kind of guy and be very impressive. He's a big dude, very tall.
You've seen a lot of Cody Morris. I mean, well, as much as he's been healthy too, you've seen a lot of him. I'm a big fan of Cody Morris. He needs to have a fully healthy season. I just don't know what role he fits in.
He's another a guy you want to see have a fully healthy season, but also he's another guy that has the big league stuff, in my opinion, and could be ready to get thrown into any spot that they need him in. But I think it needs to be obviously defined.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah, and we saw him as both. We saw him as a starter. We saw him as a reliever, and he's got the stuff. There's times that he looks brilliant. I think he could be a guy that once he gets a shot or once he gets a regular shot up in Cleveland, will go up and stay there.
That's what we're hoping for. As far as pitchers, I'd be remiss if I didn't, and at least on that note, if there's any other pitchers you want to talk about, feel free.
Well, I do want to say a note on Cantillo.
Okay.
He reminds me so much personality and just everyday action wise of Shane Bieber, and you can tell he's a Hawaii guy. Like he's just chill, man. Like that's the best way I can describe him, and it fits where he came from. But he does have that Pacific Coast feel, just that kind of like he has that about him, and I could see him becoming a very dangerous 2, 3, 4, 5 starter. I don't necessarily think he's a number 1. I think he could be, but anytime soon, I think he would have to mature into that role. But I do think he could absolutely be one of your 5 starters in Cleveland if it all comes together. He did look rocky in some starts. I think he still he might need a little more AAA time, but as far as the future, he's a guy that I would really like to see what happens when he can just get settled into Cleveland, stay there, and really find a groove. He's a big boy, but he's also got I don't want to say a laissez-faire, like lazy attitude about him, but he's kind of a go with the flow, it seems like, and just relax. Like, just wants to go out in the outfield and throw the football around kind of guy when he doesn't have to do anything pitching wise. Like, he's a good kid, and very much want to see what happens with a new flying Hawaiian in the Cleveland system.
I mean, it took Shane Bieber some time to. I mean, I felt like Shane Bieber had ace mentality when he was in the minors, just hearing him talk, but it also took some time for him to mature into that role. And he had guys above him, too, that helped him.
Yeah, he didn't have to step into that
quick.
Yeah, he didn't necessarily have to be that one overnight, but he kind of got there pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of a sudden, it was just like, oh, this guy's got number one stuff. And I was like, was Kluber still there when he got up? I can't remember.
Yeah.
These years
that was the last.
That was the last good year together. Everything's blending together, man. The longer I'm in, there was a point where probably like the first 5 years of working for the Clippers that I could look at a roster or I could look at a picture of any player that we had and be like, oh, that's, so-and-so. Oh, that's Tim Fedorovich. Oh, that's Asher Wojciechowski. Like, I could look at and be like, okay, this guy played for us. And it wasn't just the years I was full-time. Like, I could take it all the way back to, when I was just an announcer. And then some point over the pandemic, it's like I just got overloaded, and now I can't remember. Did that guy play for us? Really?
Well, you're my go-to on that. When I ask you to identify someone in a picture, you're my go-to. So
well, I can generally figure it out. It's just every now and then, it's I'll get stumped by a guy and be like, wait a minute, why does this name sound familiar? Like, oh gosh, who was? I can't remember one of the managers of one of the AAA teams that we played this year. No, it was Shelley Duncan. And I had Shelley Duncan over at Scranton. And I was like, oh, hey, he played for us. He played for us when I announced here. Hold on, man. I'm not ready for guys to come back and be managers yet, bro. Like,
how are you going to react if he gets interviewed for the Guardians managerial job this offseason?
I mean, I personally want it to be Mike Sarbaugh, but that's just my 2 cents. Because I got to see what Sarby could do as a leader down here in Columbus, and he got us a pair of rings. So he does have a championship winning mentality about him. I think he would be the guy that I would want to see. I don't necessarily think he would be the popular pick with the fans, but he's who I'm rooting for. Personally, hey, I've got no problem with Shelley either. I mean, like his dad was the Cardinals pitching coach for a long time, right? Yeah, and so like when you got that baseball pedigree, you've got that beyond being a player in your blood. I've got no problem with looking into him. I would hope that they pick somebody who isn't afraid to play youth. And I'm not saying Tito was afraid to play youth by any means. I just hope that we can get somebody who might be a little bit more focused on getting youth playing time and getting youth experience and stuff. And because I think that's where we kind of step into the next level and get back to that mid 2010s, where we were kind of had it all together. I mean, we were a World Series contender. I think we're close. I think there's missing a couple pieces. I don't ask me to say what position we would get them in, but I would like to see them get 1 or 2 big free agent signings. I don't know. I don't know what the market's going to look like. I don't know what type of money we're going to have to spend and what holes that need to be filled. I know that there is talent in the farm system, and I hope that we try to utilize that talent, and then go get, if we have to go get a big bat, go get a big bat. Got to go get an arm, go get an arm. But I think that the cupboard is far from bare. Some people talking about, the pitching factory is dead. Like, look at what they had in Columbus. I mean, Gavin Williams, Logan Allen, and Tanner Bybee.
The guys that, Bybee and Williams were there for like a week, but yeah. because they had to be. But look how good they were by spending a week in AAA.
You can't say the pitching factory is dead when you've got 2 rookies and a second-year guy. Your next guys already at the big league level when they should be at the AAA level. Like, don't say the pitching factory's dead when we just can't get Espino healthy. Like, don't say the pitching factory's dead when Joey Cantillo's 6'6" ass is standing right there going, hang 10. I'm about to be way better than anything you ever expected. Like, rambling. The pitching factory is so far from dead. God,
I mean, that's a good point, Espino, because. For hope for Espino is that Joey Cantillo literally spent 3 years not healthy. He didn't pitch in 2020 because of the pandemic. That sucked. He was hurt in 2021. He was hurt in 2022. Like, he literally, for 3 straight seasons, was not able to pitch. And he had a full good season this year. So that's a great point about
made it through the whole year.
You know,
look and find the positives. Oh yeah, something ERA, blah blah blah. Like, he got roughed up in a couple starts. That happens.
He's gonna be fine.
He will be just fine.
I wanted to make note of one more pitcher too, and I know you know probably Nick Enright pretty well too from his time there. I really wanted him to succeed in Miami when he got drafted there. Obviously, he had to be cancer this year. That trumps everything else in baseball. But for that guy to come back and pitch this year was fantastic. And I'm, like I said, I wanted him to stick in Miami and be on a big league roster because that's always what's best for these guys. But was not upset to see Nick Enright come back to Columbus and see if Cleveland can find a way to get him to the big leagues, because he should be in the big league. One of those guys that's interesting because he doesn't throw that hard. Like, he throws maybe 94, like, at best, but the guy just pitches really well. The results are impossible to argue with how good he does. Like, so not only because I think he could pitch, but just the story as well.
It made sense why he got Rule 5. Just in the sense of getting picked up in the Rule 5 by somebody else, because he was definitely a guy that has the intangibles to be a big league reliever and be an impactful big league reliever. I don't know what happened down in Miami exactly. I didn't really look into it. I was just when he came back, as far with the story and everything involved and him coming back and beating cancer and this, that, and the other. It's like, how could you not, like, he was pitching this year, dude. Like, he beat bigger than baseball by all means. And I do hope that we hold on to him and he gets a shot in Cleveland. I think he could be a serviceable guy, absolutely, at the big league level. And we'll see what happens. I don't really know his contract status or whether or not we've got more time with him. But I hope that he does get another chance to, pitch at the big league level, because it's a great story. It's a great kid. And it's a very, very easily rootable situation. You just hope that the guy can succeed. So yeah, I'm a big Nick Enright fan, and I hope that he gets that shot again.
I agree. Well, I'm a big Matt fan, and if you're a fan of good shows in Columbus, or if you're in Columbus and you want to see a good minor league baseball game presentation, April 2nd is the home opener for the Clippers next year. I can tell you I won't be there April 2nd, but I think it's in the plans for us to be down there. Well, I got to wait till my wife's school year is done before we can make any concrete plans, unfortunately, because, I don't know, apparently teachers have to be there in person to teach kids. That's the crazy thing they're doing these days.
Future of America. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to tell her, just leave school early. We're coming down to Columbus, but we will definitely be in Columbus next year.
We got to go see Father Panda.
Yes, we'll be down there. That, like I said, even if the Clippers aren't good, no matter how good or bad they are, it is a good show. Like Matt keeps saying, it is a very good show, and I would go for the PA announcing alone.
That makes one of you.
I don't think that's true. I know for a fact there are other people out there.
Unless my mom's in town, that'll be 2. I have 2 fans and 3 banana, because monkey never cramp.
Never cramp. Oh my God. That's going to be another reference only my wife is going to get and enjoy.
Yes.
So this is the one podcast she's going to listen to and come away.
That became a running joke on our side of the press box this year. Just monkey never cramp. Oh, it's magical. 2 banana, no, 3 banana.
I say bring that guy back as a coach. That sounds like a good nutritional coach. He knows.
Yes.
That's a great
Absolutely.
baseball grid for anybody who's doing their immaculate grids. If you can use him, I think he is always. There's two guys I always use. I always use Grady Sizemore. I always use Jim Thome if I can. And then if there's anything I can do with Kawasaki, I always put him in there. It's like the 3 guys I always use. I don't know why. Just something about those. Obviously, Grady and Thome for obvious reasons. But every time I have the chance to use that guy, I put him in there too.
I'm that way with Jamal Mashburn when it comes to the basketball ones.
I don't do the basketball grids. I don't know anything.
My current basketball knowledge is pretty slim, but my 90s and early 2000s was my prime of being a sports fan and being locked into the NBA. So unfortunately, there's a bunch of knowledge there that I no longer use. So an occasional grid just to test the knowledge and make sure that it's still active is not a bad thing.
I've got a one-track mind. Mine's all my knowledge is absolutely useless. That's the only reason I'm posting this podcast is to use it from somewhere.
I'm so full. What the folks watching this podcast won't see is the 33 minutes that I spent rambling about tiny homes and going off grid and all this stuff to both Justin and Grace before we even started recording. And I'll be happy that that is not included, because it was just me rambling about all my hopes and dreams. And I know nobody else really cares about that, but I'd like to steal them and have them come live with me at some point. So, I gotta plant some seeds and lay some foundations here and there. So, put it right in the back of the memory and hold on to for a little bit.
Wherever Pandaville is, if it's Columbus, if it's somewhere in the middle of nowhere, we will be there. This is the part of the show where I would tell people, hey, where do you find so-and-so on social media? But for Matt, we're going to say, no, don't do any of that.
Ooh, well,
we're not going to do any of that here.
Well, here's the thing. I will say, do follow the Columbus Clippers social media accounts at CLB Clippers on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
TikTok is good. I can confirm.
They're getting there. They're putting some things together and kind of getting a feel for it. And the one thing that I pitched for years about our social media was we needed youth. And I was like, listen, I can do the in-game stuff. I've got the baseball knowledge, but as far as what's trendy and what's cool and all that, I'm the last guy that should be handling anything like that. And I've accepted that. Like I've accepted the fact that I'm middle-aged now, and what I think is neat, the kids don't find hip. So especially saying that anything is hip right there cancels me out. And so I had always wanted somebody young to be there to help me with this stuff. And now our new 2 people, our new graphics person and a new social person, are both very young, not very young. They're both in their early 20s, fresh out of college. And so they're going to start finding their ground and finding, those of you that follow us on Twitter saw, when that switch was made, it's a little rocky for a couple weeks. And then things got rolling back to where they should have been. And I've got full faith in our entire social team there. So do follow us on the socials. Give our TikTok a little some follows and some likes. We're trying to grow that. And that's where you can find the John Kenzie Noel 10 pounds clip, which is absolutely magical. You'll find a lot of uses for that. But do give them a follow. I've got TikTok, but I haven't posted a video on there in over 2 years. I stay on TikTok. I just don't post anything. And I am off of Twitter. Sort of.
Finally.
Sort of. I still have my shoes and pro wrestling Twitters, but I don't really post on those. I literally just monitor a few things. It's my personal Twitter account that I officially nixed. And that, wow, I started that in like February 2010. Wow. I was this, Justin saw my setup. I was a dual monitor, 4 different Twitter accounts going at once on TweetDeck. And the
I thought I was a power user.
I sat and watched that for hours on the day. I had the same setup when I got home, and that's how I knew what was going on in the world. Like that was my newspaper. I read it like it was the Matrix of everything that was happening and all the things that I cared about and all the things, whether it was work in Clippers or whether it was what was happening in the WWE or there was a shoe drop or what's happening with my friends. Like that's the way I juggled it. And Elon went and made TweetDeck a paid for thing, and that I had stuck by. I said I was going to stay for. I told a bunch of my buddies on Twitter. I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm like a violinist on the Titanic. I'm going down with the ship." And then I eventually jumped onto threw some women and children out of the way and jumped onto a lifeboat and got out of there. Because once they took away TweetDeck and made it a paid for thing, it was like,
what's the point?
I think I lasted like 3 days after that, and it sucks because I did have there were a lot of people that I met, a lot of friends that I made on Twitter. Like pointed out, you and I, like our friendship really started on Twitter, and I mean that's where that GIF was. The GIF was first shared.
God.
The GIF was shared before we ever had each other's numbers.
Cannot confirm what that GIF is on the podcast. There's a lot of things we can say on here. I don't think we can pull that one
off. And I will clearly say that there's nothing overly bad about it. It's just not.
No, I don't know if anyone's even listening at this point. If you are, God bless you. No one's going to get that, but God bless you for still listening.
I can't wait to record that little bit and save that forever because that's
going to be a good gift somewhere. Oh my God, this is what makes
well played.
This is what makes Matt.
Well played.
Not only he's good at his job, but he's a good friend. And oh my God, go buy yourself a Valero. Now, you notice if you watch the podcast. I wear one hat usually, and I host a podcast. Made special purpose to wear this hat. So go buy yourself a Valeros hat.
Yeah, some handsome chubby guy that works at the Clippers came up with that design. I don't know.
I bought it. I tried to put a special note in there, and I tried to be like, when we buying this, if the commission goes to one person, but they didn't respond to my special design note. So
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I appreciate anybody that bought one of those, and the players seem to like it too. It got worn about half the season on a Valeros night, so and the players get to choose which one they want to wear. So that was cool getting to see. Just one of those little things where it's like, I can just say that something that I designed got worn in a professional baseball game.
And you said you couldn't connect with young people. Like those guys are all in their early 20s. They wanted to wear it. So
they're all kids.
Connected with it. John Kenzie, like you said, he's young 21. He wanted to wear the hat. So
rabble. Get off my lawn.
Oh all right, we should probably get off of everybody's headphone screens.
We probably should. Let's see, ClippersBaseball.com. We are taking deposits for the 2024 season ticket for 2024 season tickets. I do not believe we have an on sale date yet, but we should have some tickets on sale before Christmas, I believe. We'll do that so that we can have something for fans for Christmas presents. And then we'll hit 2024 running. You already said our opening day date at CLB Clippers, Columbus Clippers on Facebook. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Wherever you're watching this from, all I say is support your local baseball team, whether it's big leagues or whether it's minor league baseball. If you only got college, you got summer wood bat leagues, whatever it is. Support your local team. There's everyday people in your community like myself who work there, and we work year round. We work full time, and that anytime that I personally see somebody wearing a Columbus Clippers shirt or hat or anything of the sort, I get excited because in this town we're competing with the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Columbus Crew and the Ohio State University. So, I mean, those are three big things to compete against. And like, yeah, with the exception of Ohio State, Clippers have been around the longest in this city, but it's nice to see that, you know, we still have a lot of kids coming out and people having fun and stuff. And that's the whole goal of minor league baseball, is put on a good show. And so please support minor league baseball, support any baseball, indie baseball, support college baseball. Go watch your high school teams. You know, a lot of the high schoolers, you know, like we averaged maybe 20 fans per game in high school. So like, I know that anytime we'd get a few more people showing up, that always meant something. So go watch baseball. It's fun. It's a beautiful game, and it can be played at all levels. And it's just enjoy it. Like that's the one thing that 2023 became for me, was enjoying my job and enjoying what I get to see. And it really reinvigorated my love of this beautiful game. So my parting
never know you might see at the ballpark.
Yep. My parting words, you'll never see the same game twice. I guarantee you that.
There are a lot of good people who work in baseball out there, but none of them work as hard. None of them are as good at doing the things Matt does, as you can hear. So, Matt, appreciate you making some time of your vacation to come on here and ramble for an hour and 20 minutes about the Clippers and baseball and having a little bit of fun. And putting my wife and I front and center on your wall behind the podcast. I will never forget that day. I'll never forget how much it meant that you came up. That's what I'm saying. I always tell people, there are a lot of crappy people who work in media and sports media. So when you find someone who doesn't suck, stick with them. Matt's one of those guys. So that's why you should definitely go see the Clippers.
You're one of those guys too, brother.
I appreciate it. All right. Thanks for listening. Do all the things Matt says. Be good to people and follow the Clippers on social. Go see some baseball, and definitely go to a Clippers game, and definitely come back next week. And it won't be as interesting, but we'll have something to talk about, I'm sure. So thanks again, everyone.
Live your life to the best of your abilities without negatively impacting the lives of others.
Couldn't say any better myself. Thanks for listening.